Airtake Mod Soldier here, and I am back to talk about Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8, and my thoughts on these two episodes. I have mixed feelings about these two episodes. I think there are parts that are good, and I think there are parts that are bad. And I am kind of not sure why we got two episodes in the first place. I think we got two episodes because we had 3 filler episodes, and I think Lucasfilm knew that they had to get people back into the story because the last 3 episodes were very boring. And I think that's just fact. So they had to put out 2 episodes to get people back into being interested into the Bad Batch. So, I mean, fine. It's great to see 2 episodes, but for me, the 2 episodes, yes, there are good parts to them. There are. And they do explain what happens to the clones and why the clones are not so... why there's not so many clones in the Empire anymore. Do I think it's a great way of them to explain it? Do I think it sorts out all the problems? Absolutely not. George Lucas, Battlefront 2 did it better. Why they couldn't just copy Battlefront 2 storyline about why the clones weren't all stormtroopers? I mean, I don't get it. Why would you do this dumb story? And also, they didn't tell us in the last episode of the final season one very important detail about the attack on Kamino. And I don't know why you wouldn't include that. Do you think it would be too traumatic for people to accept the Empire killing that many people? Why would you not tell people that in that episode? Oh, I remember why. Because we had to concentrate on getting Omega out of the fucking city. And it would be a bit... oh, sorry, I'll go into that in spoilers, but God! I think the episodes are okay on their own. I think they're entertaining, but the problems are still there. This story is just ridiculous at points and stupid in other points as well. And again, you've already explained why there's not so many clones in the Empire. How could you not just do that storyline? It would have been interesting. I'm sorry, it's just... when you've seen how bloody stupid Lucasfilm is these days, and then you just have to look back at George Lucas' Star Wars and just see that they actually respected the story. They respected the fans. And there's going to be a lot of people, especially on YouTube, who are going to say these episodes are fucking amazing. And I'm just like, what are you watching? Yes, these episodes are fine. They're not terrible. But the damn story is stupid. And I know I keep going on about Battlefront 2. Because it's fucking there. The clones... a reason why the clones are not in the fucking Empire. Because there's not that many of them. There was an uprising on Kamino. The Emperor didn't trust the clones. And they basically do the same fucking thing in this episode. But it just seemed dumb to me. And again, the story's already been told, but Dave Filoni wanted to do his own version, which was stupid. And there was also one question they didn't even answer in this episode. The first episode... oh, God! I have to go into spoilers now, because I'm just dialing around things. Listen, the episodes are fine on their own. But to me, the way they explain the clones not being in the Empire is ridiculous. And not satisfying to me. You may be satisfied by it, but I definitely am not. So, that's in the non-spoiler review, because I want to get into spoilers now. And my grade out of 10 for these episodes, I'm going 6. It's 6 out of 10 for me. Listen, they're okay episodes, but they don't do that much. They just piss me off. Because again, we've seen this story already told. And it was so much better than what we got. So, 6 out of 10. So I'm going to go into spoilers now. If you don't want to hear spoilers, leave in 3, 2, 1. So, basically, these two stories are about why the Empire gets rid of the clones. And about how the Empire now has to explain why they destroyed Kamino, basically. Because in this episode, nobody fucking explains why the Emperor is fucking stupid. Why is the Emperor getting rid of the clone army? Why? Because apparently the Emperor just wants to have conscripted soldiers. So you just want useless troops. The clones have literally proven themselves in war. They are competent, they are skilled, but no, the Emperor doesn't want them. He wants crappy Lucasfilm is determined to make the Empire look as dumb as possible. And I don't understand why. Well, actually I do. They are leftists who literally cannot get out of their own fucking way. How the fuck can you see the Empire as a threat if the Empire is just full of morons? How? Why I like the Battlefront 2 story is because it is a smart way to push the clones aside and explain why the Empire go to conscription. The clones age out. And yes, in this episode, they do say that, but they just want to get rid of the clones as fast as they can, just so they can bring in stormtroopers. That was it. In the story, I'm going to go into detail. In the story, the clones are aging out, but what pushes Emperor Palpatine into getting rid of the clones completely is the Kaminoan uprising. And the Emperor couldn't trust the clones anymore, so he decided to stop using them. And all the clones that were left, that were still loyal to him, they just aged out, which is a perfectly good story. It shows the Kaminoans are not stupid, because in this episode, the Kaminoans are shown to be the dumbest race in Star Wars. It is unbelievably stupid the Kaminoans didn't have their own clones to defend them against the Empire. They are making so many soldiers, they didn't keep some back for themselves. How are they that stupid? The uprising was interesting. It was massively interesting. Why would you not do that story? I don't understand this, Dave Filoni. I don't. Your story is dumb. So for me, the way the Emperor explains, so basically how the Emperor explains about getting rid of the clones is basically because Senator Chuchi finds out about Rampart's attack on Kamino because a clone trooper has decided that he can no longer live with the fact they murdered a hell of a lot of Kaminoans and destroyed Topeka City and all the other cities on Kamino. So Rampart sends an assassin to go kill him. And so his friend decides to take up... so another clone takes up the mission to try to expose Rampart by going to Senator Chuchi, because Senator Chuchi is in the Senate. And by the way, they really need to explain how the Senate works in the Empire, because it still, to me, needs a lot more explaining how everybody is just okay with having Palpatine as the leader now. They've got to explain that more. But anyway, so the clone gets in touch with Senator Chuchi, who's also in the Senate trying to speak up for clone rights, because yes, we now have to have episodes about clone rights. Oh, fucking hell. So Senator Chuchi wants to, deal with the clones because they're aging now, and she wants to give them a pension plan for their future. But the clones want to keep fighting for the Empire because that's all they know. Which is an interesting story if they had concentrated on that. So the clone tells Chuchi about the attack. She goes to talk to Rampart, and Rampart pretty much says it was a storm that destroyed Kamino. Again, I still don't get why you destroyed Kamino. I still don't get it. Like, why would you do it? Is the Emperor so stupid? I mean, you're getting rid of a cloning facility that you can make more troops with. Again, they're determined to make the Empire look dumb. I don't know why. Why would you piss off as well your armed forces? The clones are not just your soldiers. They crew your ships. They fly your fighters. Why is the Emperor so determined to make an enemy of the clones? They're your fucking army. So Chuchi goes to the Senate, tries to speak up for the clones, but Rampart's blocking her because he wants to get his new bill through the Senate, which is to recruit normal people to the new Imperial Army to replace the clones. But Chuchi and Organa are trying to stop this because the war is over and they shouldn't be spending so much money on their armed forces. They need to start thinking about the future of the galaxy and start fixing cities that have been involved in the war, and pretty much cut funding to the military and put funding towards things for the people. Basically, this is the story they're trying to tell. So where was I? Oh yes. So Chuchi then has to find the clone that told her the information, so she can bring into the Senate, so he can tell on Rampart. Another problem with this story is apparently Rampart has just been disappearing clones for ages. But there's a shitload of clones that would know what happened on Topeka City. There were 3 Venators that fired on those cities. How many clones would he have to get rid of? Like, it wouldn't be a couple. I mean, those bridges have a lot of people on them. I mean, the amount of people he'd have to kill, someone would realise what's happening pretty quick. So, that's a dumb part of the story. But anyway, so Chuchi finds the clone, but the clone's been assassinated by Rampart's assassin, and so are Chuchi's bodyguards. But Chuchi gets saved by Rex, who stuns the assassin. Turns out the assassin is a random clone who's had all his identity markings removed, and he's a true believer in something, which, by the way, they never explain in this, in both episodes. There are now insane clones who just do as they're told. Unbelievable. It's just dumb. They don't explain it. Like, why did that clone decide to kill them? We don't know. He just kills himself and that's done. So Rex calls in the Bad Batch because his plan is to expose Rampart by getting onto his Venator and getting the information about the attack on his Venator's records. One, why did Rampart not fucking delete those records? If he's gonna kill people, why the fuck would he not delete the records of him attacking the fucking city? Anyway, so that's the plan. The Bad Batch arrive. Omega goes with Chuchi to the Senate because she's so, happy to be on Coruscant because she's never been there before and she's never seen a city before. So she's, doing that crap. The Bad Batch invade the Venator. They get the information. They then crash the Venator, which I actually like that scene when, Tech pretty much activates the engines and makes the Venator crash. They then fight their way off the Venator. They use an escape pod so they can't be found by the Imperials. They then get the information to Senator Chuchi, who reveals to the entire Senate that the Rampart was the one who attacked Topeka City. She also gets the senator of the Kaminoans to also reveal that Rampart was stealing funds from the money for the clones so he can fund different projects. And then the Bad Batch and Omega give the information about the attack on Kamino, which turns out to be a hologram of the attack, basically. And Rampart is then pretty much sacrificed by the Emperor, who appears in the Senate for the first time in a long time. So it seems that the Emperor doesn't really bother with the Senate anymore. So this is the first time he's been back in the Senate for a long time. And he pretty much says that Rampart's a traitor and that his actions are the reason to get rid of the clone army, because the clones did as they were told without question and killed millions or thousands of innocent Kaminoans. And that is why the Empire get rid of the clone army, is because they don't question orders, basically. So the Emperor uses Chuchi and the Bad Batch to push his agenda of getting rid of the clone army, and they all realise that they've pretty much been fooled by the Emperor to get what he wanted, which is what he got. The bill passes, and the clones will now be phased out by the stormtroopers, the forced conscription of the people, basically. And yeah, so the Emperor wins, he gets his bill passed, and Rampart is arrested by the clones and is going to be sacrificed for the greater good, basically. He's going to be done for his crimes against the Kaminoans, and the Emperor gets what he wants at the end of the day. And the episode ends, which I think is the best scene in both episodes, with Echo leaving the Bad Batch and joining up with Rex to go help the clone troopers, who are now going to be forced out of the armed forces of the Empire now. There's no stopping it. Now, I think this is as good as we were going to get for the explanation about the clones not being in the Empire anymore. But I still prefer what happened in Battlefront 2. Better story and a way more interesting than this story. But yes, Echo leaving the Bad Batch. Omega is pretty sad by this, but Echo says he won't be gone for long. He just wants to help his brothers now. And Omega says goodbye to him, and the episode ends with the Bad Batch flying off to their next mission. And we didn't ever see Crosshair in this episode. Are you fucking kidding me? Why the fuck was Crosshair not in any of these episodes? That is insane to me. I thought he was the assassin at one point, until he missed a couple of shots at the beginning. Why the fuck would you take Crosshair out of this episode? That makes no sense to me. And the episode ends. I think these episodes are okay. I don't like how we got to the whole explanation of the clones being kicked out of the Imperial Army. But okay, it's a reason. I think the episodes are okay. But again, we've already seen this done better. We've already seen a better storyline from the George Lucas era. I just don't understand why you didn't just use that. And yeah, that's the end of my review. Not really happy. I'm very disappointed. And Bad Batch isn't getting any better for me. It's getting pretty dumb. But if you like this review, give it a like. If you dislike this review, give it a dislike. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. Entertainment World Soldier. Bye.